Venezuela hosts this Friday the second day of the Congress of the historical Bolivarian Bloc, an exercise in participatory democracy led by the government of Nicolás Maduro. On Thursday, the United Nations General Assembly pursued a resolution by absolute majority recognizing the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and being an independent state. And the new Dana in Spain and Tropical Storm Sara in the Caribbean have left citizens struggling to cope with severe weather conditions in the form of heavy rains, floods and landslides. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR Studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. It's the second day of the Congress of Bolivarian Historical Bloc in Venezuela, and our correspondent Belén de los Santos is there with the details we must know about this event. Hi, Belén.
Hi, Ale. Thank you for greeting me. And exactly as you were saying, this is the second day of the Grand Congress of the Historic Bolivarian Bloc here in Caracas. And as you were also saying, this is an important exercise of democratic participation. What does that mean? This means a way of thinking. This is an exercise of how to build a democratic system that is built not from the top down, but from the basis up. So that is what is happening here in Caracas. And this process, as we were saying throughout the day, does not begin here, did not begin yesterday when the Congress started, but it began months ago with assemblies all over the territory, and this is just the culmination of that process. This process of democratic participation is being described as the 5 generations. That means all the generations that make up the Venezuelan population, from the youth to the elderly, from those who participated in these important first parts of the revolutionary process to the youth who are being brought up in this process and are now carrying along the struggle. So the 5 generations and the seven forces, that means all the forces that compose, again, the Venezuelan sectors. What does this mean? This means the political forces, so the party, for instance, and also the forces that have to do with the social forces, civil forces. In this we have also the communal power, the popular power that plays such an important role in the construction of Venezuelan socialism, and this together with the productive sources. So we are talking about the different generations of Venezuela, the different sectors of Venezuela coming together to debate on the 7 transformations. And what are the 7 transformations? Those are the 7 key aspects in which the government has laid a plan to transform, to continue working in this construction of socialism in the coming years. These 7 transformations go from the reviewing of strengthening independence, modernizing the economy, also matters related to security, among others. Also, the ecology and climate change play a very important role in these discussions. And these are the topics that are being debated, as we were saying, in the assemblies that are being underway today. Yesterday was the opening day, and today is the working day when delegates from all over Venezuela are coming together with their proposals. So just to take us into a little bit of what is happening within these assemblies. For example, in the one that discusses political participation and popular power, there's been a lot of talk regarding to how to strengthen the communal power, the communes that are such an important role and such an important factor in this socialist model that was thought out and designed by Hugo Chavez and is now being carried out. So everything related to how to strengthen those powers within the territories in an everyday basis is being discussed in that assembly. And as that, for example, regarding the economy, also a lot is being said about the importance of the production of food, for example, and how this has played a key role during the past years when the Venezuela has really had to step up its production in terms of making face to the coercive measures that have been imposed from the international powers. So that's a little bit of what's happening here.
Well, as we are seeing in the images, the indigenous communities are the protagonists of today's debates. What role are they playing in drafting strategies, political strategies, in the framework of this Grand Congress?
Yes, Ale, so this what you're saying is very important, and I don't know if you can hear, but there's a little bit of a party starting because the day is coming to a close, and this is also a celebration of the different militants and sectors that are coming together. You were talking about the indigenous communities, and exactly we were saying that different sectors are coming together, and we are talking about women, workers from different sectors, the rural workers, and also the indigenous communities. We were talking to one of the indigenous leaders just hours ago, and she was telling us how important it was that they were participating, not only participating in the Congress, but participating with delegates in all of the assemblies, in all of the working tables. And this is to bring their vision to the table to discuss how is Venezuela going to face its transformation of economy, how is it going to face its transformation of the environment, how is it going to face a world that is increasingly dealing with the effects of climate change. Well, the indigenous communities have a lot to put on the table regarding their vision, for example, of their territories, of their land, of a different model that is not the capitalistic model of thinking about production and the relationship with the land. So that is one of the things, and why it's very important to incorporate this into the discussion, and also one of the things that both this leader was saying, but also a lot of the leaders that have come here to Caracas are mentioning, is the importance to highlight how new and innovative this way of coming together is in the designing of a plan of government for the coming years, because what is at play here in Caracas today in this Congress is the possibility that the design of a government in its key strategic areas is not going to be done in a desk in the high offices of a government, but is being done in every territory, in every commune. It's being debated today, and tomorrow we will have a draft with the conclusions, and that will play a key role in the years to come. So that is what is happening here, and that's why it's so important to have all sectors of society participating.
Thank you, Bel. Thank you for all the information. We will keep in touch. We were listening to Belén de los Santos in the framework of the second day of the Grand Congress of the historic Bolivarian Bloc. And with this report, we're going to take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Cuba, former President and Army General Raúl Castro Ruz welcomed the Minister of Emergency Situations for Russia, Alexander Kurenkov. The leader of the revolution thanked the Russian government for its solidarity and the direct assistance of the Ministry of Emergency Situations, while Kurenkov highlighted the historical relations between both peoples. In addition, both sides reaffirmed the political will to continue strengthening cooperation ties to face complex contingency situations aggravated by the illegal U.S. blockade against Cuba. The Army General appreciated Russian support in the preparation of qualified national personnel to face crises, such as the hurricane's impact that lately hit the country. The G20 Social Summit opens in Rio de Janeiro, marking an unprecedented initiative by the Brazilian government ahead of the leaders' summit. This event aims to bring civil society into the discussions among leaders of the world's major economies. The encounter will run until Saturday, with over 270 activities organized by social movements, universities, and international organizations on social struggles such as the rights of the LGBTQ+ population, wage equality, fighting against racism, and a popular anti-imperialist quote. On Friday, plenary sessions are scheduled to discuss the three axes proposed by Brazil to the G20 summit: combating hunger, poverty and inequalities, sustainability and climate change, and global governance reform. In Peru, workers on their last day of national strike warned of pushing on pickets if President Dina Boluarte does not take measures to stop the crime wave. Resounding mobilizations have bursted out in Puno, Arequipa, and Junín, where strategic points have been blocked, including the Ilave International Bridge, the Pan American Sur, and the main highway. Protesters urged President Dina Boluarte to consider resigning her post if she does not take immediate measures to halt the crime wave. The national strike restricted trade, affecting Peruvians' daily lives. The nationwide rally paralyzed key roads by the time Peru becomes the venue of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, APEC. In Palestine, the Ministry of Health described as catastrophic medical facilities and welfare in Gaza after over a year of the ongoing Israeli offensive, causing over 43,700 killings of civilians. After his keynote address in the 7th edition of the World Innovation Summit for Health in Qatar, the Palestinian Minister of Health, Majed Abu Ramadan, accounted for the alarming crisis faced by Gazans. The authority argued that the escalation of attacks on Gaza has partially or totally destroyed most of hospitals, crimes that have been denounced on multiple times. The minister further claimed shortage of drinking water and spread of diseases aggravated the crisis, violating international rights. In Syria, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs described the Israeli aggressions against its territory as brutal crimes, claiming dozens of civilians' lives, including women and children. The Israeli attacks on Syria have fully destroyed residential buildings, causing major damages to essential infrastructures, such as bridges and roads. The ministry further confirmed that Israeli occupying forces have dropped shellings on Damascus, killing at least 15 people and injuring 16 others on Thursday. Therefore, Damascus denounced that Israeli strikes have been intensifying since the United Nations Security Council did not take a steady position to refrain the regional genocide. Likewise, the Syrian Defense Ministry reported on Thursday that Israel overnight strikes from the occupied Syrian Golan Heights targeted several residential buildings in Mesed town, Damascus, amounting the death toll to at least 15, including women and children. In addition, the entity pointed out that the impact of these attacks caused various material damages in private properties and buildings close to the area. On Thursday, the United Nations General Assembly pursued a resolution by absolute majority recognizing the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and being an independent state. The delegations of the DPRK, Egypt, and Nicaragua presented the draft in the third committee, obtained 170 votes in favor, 6 against, and 9 abstentions. The countries opposing the resolution were the United States, Israel, Argentina, Paraguay, Micronesia, and Nauru. The motion underscored Palestinians' right to self-determination, independence, and liberation from Israel occupation, rejecting the latter alleged security measures on Palestine. The document further described Palestinians' rights as inalienable, unconditional, and non-negotiable. In Sudan, the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF hit Thursday a village in the central Jazeera state, massacring at least 14 people and wounding others. The Jazeera Conference, a local civil society organization, stressed that a 3-year-old boy was brutally murdered as he had been snatched from his mother's arms and thrown into a water tank. The group further warned that the death toll could rise in upcoming hours, as the RSF has taken over the Jazeera capital, Wad Madani, since December 2023 by committing widespread human rights abuses, including murders, kidnappings, and sexual offenses. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Russia, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mikhail Bogdanov, informed on Thursday his nation will forgive a $20 billion debt to several African countries. The also special presidential representative for the Middle East and Africa added that those funds will be relocated to development projects within a refinancing program. The first ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum, held in Sochi on November 9th to 10th, sought to boost comprehensive cooperation between Russia and Africa in political, security, economic, and humanitarian affairs. The diplomat further noted the possibility of reopening embassies in African nations which had been closed earlier. In the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, President Kim Jong-un ordered on Friday the mass production of drones on Friday following warnings from the U.S. Senate Department over national agreements with Russia. After witnessing a test of suicide drones, the leader highlighted that unmanned aerial vehicles are gaining ground worldwide. Given the effectiveness of the cutting-edge military technologies, Kim Jong-un further initiated debates on designing a military doctrine to regulate them and make them more effective. On past Tuesday, Washington threatened Pyongyang after confirming the presence of DPRK's troops deployed in Russia. Both nations reaffirmed that they are within the national, legal, and international law framework. In Spain, dozens of people gathered at the gates of the provincial legislative entity to demand the resignation of the president of the Valencian government, Carlos Mazón. Demonstrators rallied for expressing their dissatisfaction with the management of the president of the Valencian government in view of Dana's devastating aftermath. Several legislators joined the gathering before entering the plenary session, where Carlos Mazón will appear on Friday to give accounts 2 weeks after the tragedy. A device of the national police cordoned off the main entrance of Les Corts Parliament to prevent incidents, although the mobilization has developed peacefully. In Honduras, experts reported that Tropical Storm Sara landed on Thursday evening, warning that it poses significant domestic damages due to its low speed. Meteorologists further added that torrential rains will dump from 100 to 200 millimeters. The major departments at risk are of Sara, Atlántida, Colón, Bay Islands, and Gracias a Dios. Thus, they are on red alert since early hours as a precaution. Local experts informed the storm won't turn into a hurricane. Furthermore, the United States National Hurricane Center alerted that Honduras will be facing downpours for 2 weeks. In response to it, the government has deployed security and defense personnel, as well as resources across the nation. In Paraguay, the national football team won over the Argentina on Thursday evening on round 11 to qualify for 2026 World Cup. The outstanding bicycle kick from Antonio Sanabria amazed the local audience, while second half heated from Omar Celeste defined the match 2-1. Meanwhile, Enzo Fernandez scored a goal, but the player could not do much more. As a result, Paraguay earned 3 more scores to be positioned 6 in the qualifying table, while Argentina remains in the top list with 22 scores, followed by Colombia and Brazil with 19 and 17 scores respectively. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.